questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. Mr. Newton, I know that your part of North Carolina is a little bit east of the part that I border, but my district is very mountainous, and I border a big chunk of North Carolina from Henry County, which would be Martinsville area, all the way to where the Virginia-North Carolina line ends. We weren't hit as hard, but we were hit by Helene. And interestingly, in the areas most hard hit, all of my cell service went down. So I'm out driving around the day afterwards and actually had an employee who I lost for several hours. And the good news is we didn't have any water fatalities. We had two that were related to wind, but we didn't have any actual water fatalities in my district, but we had significant damage. And all the cell phones and towers, whatever, for whatever reason, and it turns out it was different reasons in different areas because I tried to find a common thread and couldn't. So what can we do to harden our communication infrastructures so that we don't have that problem again? Because in Grayson County, they had one hotspot in downtown Independence, and that's on the North Carolina border. In Damascus, we had to bring in low Earth orbit Starlink. There was a mobile unit available in Wise County that the health wagon brought over. And then later FirstNet showed up apparently, or in some kind of conjunction there eventually. But what can we do to harden our existing structure? And should we be looking at leapfrogging to go to low Earth orbit as a part? And I know FirstNet's looking at that, but what should we be doing? Because every locality has problems, particularly in western North Carolina and southwestern Virginia. They all have problems coming up with the funding, and low Earth orbit looks like it's a more affordable way to go than some of the others. What say you?
So I think there's a couple of different approaches that are relevant here. I think there is the trying to prevent a site from going down, and then there's also trying to compress the time that site is down if we do meet that threshold. So I think preventing the site from going down, hardening measures at the sites, things to prevent vandalism. There's the things that cause our problems are they lose a link on a fiber link, so they don't have data, or they lose power. And usually those are not independent of each other. Usually we have some combination of that. So on the side of losing the connectivity, what we found, and this is, as low Earth orbit satellite constellations are improved, this will likely change. But there's also a capacity issue with those. So we may balance it with a VSAT, which is slightly slower, but a more dedicated carved out line.
All right, for everybody back home, VSAT.
I'm sorry, a variable, or a very small aperture terminal.
Okay.
It's a satellite service. It's in a geosynchronous orbit, slightly lower bandwidth, but it's a carved out dedicated pathway. What we saw is early on our low Earth orbit satellite terminals, the Starlinks, they provide us connectivity very quickly, very easy to deploy. At some point you reach a capacity. So there's that side of it. There's also, in what we do in our state EOC, what many state EOCs do, is that combination or that partnership with the carriers to bring them in to how do we get your services back up? Where are the services down? What can we do to help those carriers get them back up? And then the last thing I would leave you with would be when we had Western North Carolina, just like in Western Virginia, the western portion of Virginia, are difficult areas to provide data services in. And so what tends to happen is we put all of our carriers on one fiber optic line. And so if that one line is hit by a tree, by a landslide, whatever it may be, then all the services on that fiber line go down.
Yeah. And I don't know how you solve that because we got so many, it's mountainous, there's lots of little valleys and so forth. That's hard. I will say, as far as being able to respond quickly, in Tazewell County, at least the first responders were able to get their radio system back up and running because somebody knew exactly what to do. They went to the tower and started the generator, which for whatever reason hadn't started itself, but one of their team knew that's where they needed to go, and they got it taken care of fairly quickly in that county, but there were other places where it took days before we got everything back up and running. So I do appreciate that. Looks like my time is out, and I appreciate all of you being here today. This is an important issue. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.